Close allies who were convicted of or had pled guilty to crimes was unusually long for anyone in public life, let alone anybody who's an elected official. Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. His campaign vice chairman, Rick Gates, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. His advisor and campaign aide, Roger Stone, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. His White House National Security Advisor, Mike Flynn, was charged and convicted. His campaign advisor, George Papadopoulos, was charged, convicted, sentenced to prison. His business's CFO, Alan Weisselberg, was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison. His business itself was found guilty of criminal tax fraud. And real estate organizations can't go to prison, otherwise it might have. And of course, Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, who we just spoke with here on set, he was charged, convicted, and sentenced to prison for a criminal scheme that prosecutors described as directed by Trump, for which Trump was the beneficiary. Cohen was then the star witness in the prosecution's case in which Donald Trump was just convicted on all 34 felony counts himself. So as of tonight, Donald Trump himself has now joined that ignominious list. It now sort of feels inevitable looking back at it, but until it happened tonight, nobody could be sure it ever would. That said, he seems to know it was coming, right? He seems to have known something. There's this remarkable headline in the New York Times just this week. Trump leans into an outlaw image as his criminal trial concludes. The former president has increasingly aligned himself with fellow defendants and people convicted of crimes. As we headed toward this unanimous all counts guilty verdict tonight, Donald Trump has recently, in fact, been bringing convicted and accused felons with him to campaign events, including people accused of murder. He's even been bringing ex-cons and convicted felons with him to stand behind him in court, in his days in court for this criminal trial. And this is clearly a political strategy. He thinks this is a tough guy look that will work for him, presumably. He also kind of has to lean into it, right? You can't pretend not to be a criminal while you're a criminal defendant. Why not just run with it? I mean, so this is now who he is surrounding himself with. And part of his message is pick me. I'm on the criminal side of the ledger. Pick me and my criminal friends. We'll take care of this legal system that you've got here. Convicted of 34 felonies tonight.